Welcome to Shadow Psychology Coded, where we tear away the veils of conventional wisdom to expose the raw psychological machinery operating beneath. Today, we initiate a dangerous excavation, a journey into the deepest and most heavily guarded vault of your psyche, your relationship with money. Forget everything you've been taught about interest rates, investment portfolios, and financial planning. Those are merely the surface-level symptoms of a much deeper, more profound, spiritual war being waged within you. This is not a lesson in economics. It is a psychological autopsy of the invisible chains that bind you to a life of financial mediocrity and spiritual servitude. The central, terrifying truth we must confront is this: your wallet, your bank account, your entire financial existence is not truly yours. It is a colony, occupied and governed by a foreign moral system that you did not choose but have been forced to inherit. This is the system Friedrich Nietzsche diagnosed as slave morality, and it has been silently programmed into your nervous system since childhood, dictating your every financial decision from the shadows. The common narrative around money is a carefully constructed lie. You are told that wealth is a matter of hard work, intelligence, or luck. This is a distraction. The real battle is not about acquiring money. It is about your fundamental right to have it, to desire it, and to wield its power without guilt, shame, or apology. The herd, that vast amorphous entity of societal consensus, is terrified of sovereign individuals who command financial power because such individuals are uncontrollable. And so it has engineered a brilliant, insidious psychological weapon to keep you in check. It has made virtue out of financial powerlessness and sin out of ambition. Let us dissect this weapon. It operates on several fronts. First, the weapon of guilt. You are made to feel that wanting more, striving for abundance, is inherently greedy, selfish, a sin against the collective. This is the echo of religious dogma that sanctified poverty and demonized the wealthy. The message is clear. To be a good person, you must be modest in your ambitions and content with your lot. Second, the weapon of resentment, ressentiment. This is the core of the slave's revolt in morality. Unable to attain true power and wealth themselves, the weak have performed a brilliant diabolical feat of psychological jujitsu. They have redefined the terms of the game. They have labeled the traits of the strong ambition, pride, self-interest, the drive for accumulation as moral failings. Greed, exploitation, privilege. Conversely, they have elevated the traits of the weak: humility, contentment with little, a lack of ambition, into the highest virtues. Humble, down to earth, not materialistic. This is the ultimate sour grapes mechanism. The fox cannot reach the grapes, so he declares them sour. The herd cannot attain wealth, so it declares the pursuit of it evil. And you have internalized this poison. You feel a pang of unease when you invoice a client for your true worth. You hesitate to ask for a raise, fearing you'll be seen as arrogant. You judge those who have more than you, not on the content of their character, but on the fact of their possession, thereby reinforcing the very moral prison you inhabit. Third, the weapon of false asceticism. This is the belief that spiritual purity is incompatible with material wealth, that to be truly enlightened or ethical, one must reject worldly possessions. This is a lie designed to neuter your power in the real world. It convinces you that poverty is noble and wealth is corrupt, ensuring you never tap into the resources that would make you a genuine threat to the status quo. Your bank statement, therefore, is not a financial document. It is a moral report card graded by the herd. A low balance is subconsciously interpreted as proof of your virtue. A desire for a high balance is met with internal resistance, a conditioned guilt reflex. This is the herd's money game, and you have been playing it your entire life without even knowing the rules were rigged against you from the start. The first step to breaking free is to see the prison for what it is, to recognize the ghost of the slave morality in every financial hesitation, in every moment of underselling yourself, in every judgment you cast upon the wealthy and upon yourself. This is the foundational work. Without this, any strategy for making money is just a faster way to run on a treadmill designed by your masters. You are not here to learn how to play the game better. You are here to smash the game board entirely. The herd fears nothing more than an individual who sees through its illusions. If you're ready to incinerate these psychological chains and claim the financial power that is your birthright, subscribe now. The most dangerous financial secrets, the ones that can truly set you free, are waiting for those with the courage to proceed. Now that you see the invisible prison of the herd's morality, we can begin the real work, forging a new, sovereign understanding of what money truly is. Forget its physical form, the paper, the digits in an account. These are mere shadows. The substance, the true nature of money, is something far more profound and personal. Money is crystallized will to power. It is the physical residue of value you have created and successfully imposed upon the world. Let us unpack this radical definition. Your will to power is your fundamental drive to grow, to expand, to overcome resistance, to leave your mark on reality. When you direct this will into a skill, a service, a product, or an idea that other human beings subjectively value, they offer you a token in exchange. That token is money. It is a receipt, a proof of work, a testament that your personal power has translated into external value. Therefore, the amount of money you accumulate is not a measure of your greed, it is a measure of your impact. It is a feedback mechanism from reality, indicating the strength, clarity, and desirability of the value you have projected. A man who earns little is not necessarily virtuous. He may simply be ineffective, his will weak, his offering misaligned with what the world perceives as valuable. Conversely, a man who earns vast sums is not inherently corrupt. He may be a formidable force whose creative or organizational will has solved significant problems for many people. This framework annihilates the slave morality's guilt trip at its root. The pursuit of money, when understood correctly, is not a grubby scramble for pieces of paper. It is the pursuit of greater capacity for impact. It is the desire to amplify your voice, to extend your reach, to magnify your ability to shape your corner of existence. This is why the Übermensch does not shy away from wealth. He seeks it as a warrior seeks a better weapon, as an artist seeks a finer brush. It is a tool for a higher creation. However, a critical distinction must be made, the distinction between the wealth of the Übermensch and the wealth of the last man. The last man seeks money as an end in itself, for consumption, for status signaling, for the hollow comfort of a number in an app. His wealth is passive, often speculative, and frequently disconnected from any genuine value creation. It is wealth without a will, a corpse of power. The Übermensch seeks money as a means to an end. His wealth is active, creative, and a direct consequence of his value generation. For him, money is fuel. Fuel for freedom, for time, for research, for art, for protecting his loved ones, for building institutions that reflect his values. He doesn't want to have money. He wants to use money to execute his will more effectively. This transforms your entire orientation. The question shifts from the slave's question, how can I get more money, to the sovereign's question, how can I become so powerful, so skilled, so valuable that money becomes a natural byproduct of my existence? You stop chasing the effect and start cultivating the cause. You focus on building an impenetrable fortress of competence, character, and unique value. You become a sun that radiates wealth rather than a planet desperately orbiting it. This is the alchemy of financial sovereignty, transmuting the base metal of your latent potential into the gold of tangible, crystallized power. The game is no longer about pleasing the herd. It is about becoming a force so undeniable that the herd has no choice but to reward you. Your financial statement becomes a scorecard of your psychological and creative strength. Now, with this new understanding of money's essence, we can explore how to spiritualize this power to move beyond crude materialism and use wealth as a tool for the highest form of sovereignty. You now understand that money is crystallized will, the physical proof of your impact on the world. But this revelation brings its own danger, the temptation to fall into what Nietzsche warned against: vulgar materialism. The slave mentality simply inverts its poverty worship into crude consumerism, accumulating possessions without purpose, chasing luxury for status rather than utility. This is not power. It is another form of bondage where you are owned by your possessions, trapped in a gilded cage of endless consumption. The sovereign path, the path of the Übermensch, is what Nietzsche called the spiritualization of wealth. This is the process of transmuting raw financial power into higher freedom, deeper creativity, and ultimate self-mastery. It means moving from having wealth to wielding it with philosophical purpose. The spiritualization of wealth begins with a fundamental realization. The primary value of money is not what it can buy, but what it can prevent. It buys you the most precious and non-renewable resource, time. Time free from the soul-crushing demands of trivial labor. Time for deep thought, for philosophical contemplation, for artistic creation, for strategic planning. When you are not forced to sell your hours for survival, you reclaim your cognitive sovereignty. Your mind becomes your own again, no longer a rented instrument for solving another man's problems. This is the first and most critical spiritual transformation that wealth enables, the liberation of your consciousness from the tyranny of immediate necessity. The second stage is the shift from consumption to creation and curation. The last man uses money to consume experiences, goods, and distractions. The Übermensch uses money as capital to create and curate his reality. He invests in tools that enhance his capabilities: a powerful computer, a specialized workshop, a personal library. He surrounds himself with art, objects, and environments that reflect his values and stimulate his highest thinking. His home is not a showroom for status symbols. It is a sanctuary designed to support his psychological and creative needs. He funds his own education, his own research, his own experiments. He becomes a patron of his own development. This extends to the people he allows in his life. Wealth provides the freedom to disengage from energy-draining relationships and to cultivate a circle of exceptional individuals, mentors, collaborators, kindred spirits. You are no longer forced to tolerate toxic relationships out of financial dependency. Your social circle becomes a curated ecosystem that elevates you rather than a random assortment of circumstantial acquaintances. The third and highest stage of spiritualization is using wealth as a tool for legacy. This is where your financial power becomes an extension of your philosophical will into the future. It's not about leaving a large inheritance for your children to squabble over, but about funding projects, ideas, and art that would not exist without you. It is about becoming a silent architect of culture. You might fund a research project that aligns with your vision for humanity. You might support an artist whose work expresses truths you believe in. You might create an institution that perpetuates your values long after you're gone. This is the ultimate expression of the will to power through wealth, shaping the world according to your deepest convictions. This is not philanthropy driven by guilt or a desire for social approval. It is strategic investment in the future you want to see, a conscious imposition of your form upon the chaos of history. The spiritualization of wealth, therefore, is the process of converting financial capital into psychological, cultural, and existential capital. It is the difference between being rich and being powerful. The rich man has a large number in his bank account. The powerful man has a mind, a lifestyle, and a legacy that are utterly his own, funded and protected by his financial resources. Your wealth becomes not a monument to your success, but the engine of your ongoing becoming. Now that you understand the purpose of wealth, the question becomes practical. How do you develop the master's mindset to earn it? How do you transition from being a price taker to a value setter? The spiritualization of wealth provides the ultimate purpose, the why. But this grand vision remains a phantom, a castle in the air without the brutal practical bridge of earning. This is where most philosophical systems fail, offering beautiful ends with no means to achieve them. Nietzsche's philosophy is different. It is a philosophy of agency, of will, of imposing oneself upon reality. And there is no more direct, more unforgiving arena for this imposition than the marketplace. The slave's approach to earning is defined by one central debilitating question: what am I worth? This question is the very echo of the herd's morality. It is a plea for external validation. The slave looks to the job market, to salary surveys, to his boss, to his clients, begging them to assign him a value. He accepts their judgment as objective reality. He is a supplicant at the altar of the economy, hoping for a favorable offering. His entire earning strategy is built on this foundation of psychological servitude. He learns to write better resumes to please HR gatekeepers. He practices interview techniques to appear more likable. He negotiates for small raises, hat in hand, grateful for any scrap thrown his way. This is the mentality of a beggar, not a master, and it ensures he will forever be capped by the perceived limitations of the external market. The Übermensch shatters this paradigm. He does not ask the market for his value. He declares it. His foundational question is not, what am I worth? But what is the value I choose to create, and what is the price I demand for it? This is a Copernican revolution in your relationship with money. You are no longer a planet orbiting the sun of the economy. You become the sun itself, the gravitational center around which value orbits. This is what it means to create your own value table. You move from being a commodity whose price is set by the fluctuating laws of supply and demand to being a sovereign creator of unique value whose price is set by the unshakable laws of your own will. Implementing this begins with a ruthless and honest audit of your current offering to the world. What is the specific, tangible value you provide? Not your job title, not your duties, but the actual result you generate. Do you save your company money? Do you increase its revenue? Do you solve a critical problem that no one else can? If you are an employee, you must stop thinking of yourself as an employee. You are a problem solver who has chosen to rent your skills to a particular organization for a time. This shift in identity is everything. It transforms you from a cost on a balance sheet to a value-creating asset. But this is only the first, most basic level. To truly command a master's price, you must transcend mere problem-solving and move into the realm of value creation so unique it becomes difficult to price. This is where you leverage your specific genius, your unique perspective, your unconventional skill set to create outcomes that are not easily replicated. You become the only logical solution to a very specific, high-stakes problem. You are not the best option among many, you are the only option. This is how you escape the commoditization trap. The master does not compete on price. He makes price irrelevant by making his value indispensable. The psychology of this transition is the most difficult part. It requires the annihilation of the beggar's mindset and the cultivation of what can be called unshakable value certainty. This is not arrogance. It is a deep, evidence-based, and unemotional conviction in the objective value you deliver. This certainty must be forged in the fires of real-world results and relentless self-improvement. You cannot fake it. You must become so good, so reliable, so effective that your own doubt withers and dies. When you have this certainty, everything changes. Your posture shifts. Your communication becomes clear and direct, devoid of the weakening language of supplication. I was hoping maybe we could discuss, if it's not too much trouble. You state your terms with the calm finality of someone stating a natural law. This internal state is projected outward and is subconsciously perceived by others. People pay the price you believe you are worth. If you secretly believe you are overcharging, they will sense your insecurity and resist. If you know with every fiber of your being that the value you provide is worth 10 times your price, they will accept it as fact. This brings us to the master craft of sovereign negotiation. For the slave, negotiation is a tense adversarial process of compromise. For the master, it is a calm, collaborative process of discovery and agreement. The master enters any negotiation with a clear, non-negotiable bottom line, his value table. He is psychologically prepared to walk away if his terms are not met. This willingness to walk away is your ultimate source of power. It signals that you have other options, that your value is in demand elsewhere, that you are not desperate. The negotiation is not about convincing the other party to see your worth. It is about determining if they are the right partner to receive the value you have already decided to create. You are interviewing them as much as they are interviewing you. Your pricing is not an opening bid to be haggled down. It is the accurate reflection of the value you will impart. You do not justify your price with lengthy explanations. You simply state it, and your unwavering certainty and the clarity of your value proposition become the justification. Practically, this means you must stop trading time for money as your primary mode of earning. The hourly wage or salary is the currency of the slave, a direct payment for his lifetime, neatly divided into hours. The master deals in value and results. He moves to project-based fees, value-based pricing, retainers, royalties, or equity. He sells outcomes, not efforts. This forces him to think in terms of leverage and scale, not just personal productivity. He builds systems, teams, or intellectual property that can generate value without his direct hour-for-hour involvement. This is the financial manifestation of self-overcoming creating structures that multiply your will beyond the limits of your own physical time and energy. The master's approach to earning, therefore, is a total system. It begins with an internal revolution, the shift from beggar to declarer of value. It is fueled by the relentless pursuit of unique, indispensable competence. It is executed with the unshakable psychology of certainty, and it is crystallized in pricing and negotiation strategies that reflect your sovereign status. This is how you stop earning a living and start commanding a kingdom. The final step is to understand what to do with this power once you have it, how to spend and deploy your capital not as a consumer, but as a philosopher king shaping his world. We have traversed the entire spectrum of the sovereign financial psyche. We began by tearing down the prison of the herd slave morality, that insidious programming that made you feel guilt for wanting wealth and suspicion toward those who possessed it. We then rebuilt the very definition of money, recognizing it not as cold currency, but as the crystallized residue of your will to power. a tangible measure of the value you have imposed upon the world. From there, we ascended to the spiritualization of this wealth, understanding that its highest purpose is not consumption, but the purchase of freedom, time, and the capacity for higher creation. We forged the master's approach to earning, shifting from the beggar's plea of, "What am I worth?" to the sovereign's declaration of his own value table, commanding the marketplace rather than supplicating before it. Now we arrive at the final culminating arc of this philosophical journey, the art of spending. For the slave, spending is the reward, the release, the consumptive climax after a period of forced labor. It is an act of dissipation, of blowing off steam, of acquiring status symbols or fleeting pleasures. For the Übermensch, spending is the ultimate expression and extension of his will. It is not an end, but a means. It is not dissipation, but strategic deployment. This is the philanthropy of the Übermensch, a concept far deeper and more dangerous than the modern, sanitized version of charity. Modern philanthropy, as practiced by the herd and its wealthy members, is often a sophisticated form of moral laundering. It is driven by guilt, a desire for social validation, public relations strategy, or a paternalistic urge to help the less fortunate. It is, in its essence, an expression of the very slave morality we have been deconstructing. It comes from a place of pity, and for Nietzsche, pity is not a virtue but a poison that weakens both the giver and the receiver. It creates a hierarchy of dependence, not a platform for empowerment. The Übermensch does not operate from this feeble emotional center. His philanthropy is born from a state of overflowing power. It is not about giving away what he has out of a sense of obligation, but about investing his excess energy, his surplus capital, into projects, people, and ideas that represent a higher potential for life. He does not see recipients as helpless creatures to be saved, but as potential allies, creators, or forces of nature to be catalyzed. His giving is not an act of vertical charity, but of horizontal alliance or strategic investment in the future of his values. This philosophical spending manifests in several strategic layers. The first and most personal layer is investment in the fortress of self. This is the continuous, non-negotiable allocation of resources back into your own growth and sovereignty. It is spending on the best possible health care, not to fix problems, but to optimize performance. It is investing in relentless education in books, courses, mentors, and experiences that sharpen your mind and expand your perception. It is curating your environment, your home, your workspace, to be a sanctuary that supports your highest thinking and shields you from the chaos and demands of the herd. This is not selfishness, it is strategic. A weakened, distracted, or uneducated sovereign is no sovereign at all. You are the primary instrument through which your will acts upon the world, and this instrument must be kept in a state of peak condition. This is the foundation upon which all other acts of power spending are built. The second layer is strategic cultural patronage. The Übermensch understands that the ultimate battlefield is not the economy, but the culture. The values, art, stories, and ideas that dominate a society determine its trajectory. The herd's culture is one of mediocrity, safety, and distraction. The sovereign individual, therefore, uses his financial power to patronize and promote cultural forces that stand in opposition to this. He funds artists whose work is dangerous, beautiful, and truth-telling, not merely decorative or commercially safe. He supports philosophers, writers, and filmmakers who challenge conventional thinking and explore the edges of human potential. He invests in small, independent platforms for discourse that exist outside the mainstream narrative. He is not trying to make art popular. He's trying to make powerful art possible. His patronage is a deliberate act of cultural warfare, an attempt to seed the ecosystem with ideas and aesthetics that affirm life, strength, and sovereignty rather than weakness, fear, and dependency. He is, in effect, funding the intellectual and artistic arsenal for a future he wishes to see. The third and most profound layer is legacy investment, the immortality project. This is where financial power is transmuted into historical agency. Every man dies, but his will can be engineered to echo through centuries. The Übermensch spends his capital to create self-sustaining structures that will perpetuate his values and his philosophical influence long after his physical death. This is not about having a building named after him. It is about creating a foundation with a specific, potent philosophical mandate to fund research into human enhancement, to preserve wildlands, to establish a school that teaches the art of sovereign living, to create a prize that rewards radical innovation. He builds an institution that is an externalization of his own will, a machine designed to continue his work indefinitely. This is the ultimate act of spending as a will to power, turning temporary, finite financial capital into permanent, self-replicating philosophical capital. It is the closest a mortal can come to writing his name on the cosmos. This tripartite approach to spending, fortifying the self, shaping the culture, and building a legacy completes the circle of sovereign finance. Your earning is an act of self-affirmation. Your spending is an act of world-building. Money ceases to be a separate entity you manage and becomes the very blood pumping through the body of your will, circulating from the heart of your personal power out to the extremities of your cultural and legacy impact, and back again in a reinforcing loop. You are no longer a participant in the economy. You are an architect of reality, using capital as your primary tool. This is the final, absolute liberation from the herd's money game. You have not just changed your bank balance, you have changed your metaphysical role. You have moved from being a piece on the board to being a player, and then from a player to the one who designs the board itself. This is the end of financial philosophy and the beginning of financial alchemy. The transformation is complete. The tools are yours. The world is your medium. Now go and impose your order upon the chaos.